stirring the coffee with chopsticks using the vortex method, the only true way to optimize the taste of your coffee. At the molecular level. Good morning. Welcome to the Daybreak Show. I am the Sultan. We'll get started, but first, coffee. Nice.
Nice. My God, that is the best coffee I've ever tasted.
And it's another great day at the Daybreak Show, my friendly acquaintances. Think about the phrase friendly acquaintances and how much better it is to use than the word friend. What is a friend? You know what? Just for the heck of it. I think it was Facebook that started the whole friend thing, or was it MySpace? Let's just look this up real quick. Friend definition. So many people talk about their friend. So-and-so's a friend of mine. They're a good friend of mine. A person whom one knows and with whom one is a bond of mutual affection, typically exclusive of sexual or family relations. She's a friend of mine. Informal. Add someone to a list of contacts associated with social networking websites. I am friended by 29 people who have not friended back. Or to befriend someone. This is interesting. What is the true meaning of being a friend? People may define friendship differently, so describing what makes a true friend can be challenging. Some of the characteristics of a true friendship include empathy, selflessness, trustworthiness. A true best friend may also have common interests, make each other laugh, and work well as a team. Okay, very, very generic. I was expecting something a little more realistic. I'll never forget years ago, I think it was like when Facebook first came out, maybe, 2008 or 9, talking to my mom, and I said something like, yeah, I have a phone call later on with a friend, or I was talking about something with a friend, and she says, a real friend or a Facebook friend? Her generation, a friend is someone who you know face to face, flesh and blood, And the whole concept of having friends on social media blows me away. Are you really friends? I contend that people on social media are friendly acquaintances, not friends. I have very few friends. After my buddy Craig died, I think that was like one of my last true friends. And I stopped actually using the word friend on social media. Craig was a friend to me. I was a friend to him. So I would ask you, don't change the definition of things because of social media. Remember once I was dating a woman, and in public she referred to me as her friend. And I can't believe that I actually stayed with her. You're intimate with each other and you get called a friend? Are you kidding me? I picked up on that so fast. You know what that meant? That meant she was keeping her options open. When you identify, ladies, when you identify a man as a friend, like I will say this, what that's doing is keeping the door open for other men. A man wants to know that you are his, not his property. You don't have to go there with that nonsense. The reality is this. Women say friend, and ladies, if you're watching this, you know it's true. You keep the door open. That's why you can't find a man. You know the meme, Jesus, send me a man? Jesus says, I do, but you keep calling them friend. Or if a woman says to you, how you doing, my friend? Good morning, my friend. I'd question her, literally, on the spot, say, friend? Really? We were just together all weekend. You spent the weekend at my house. I spent the weekend at your house, and you're calling me my friend? Dude? Buddy? Brother? And women are the first ones to complain that they don't want friends with benefits. The very first ones. They're also the very first ones to do it. Women keep their options open constantly. So be careful with friend. Up nice and early. It's dark outside. It feels good. I'm not as hyped in the morning as I am in the evening. Sometimes, man, I get ripping in the evening. And I got to calm myself down so I can go to sleep. In the morning, everything is pretty chill. So, do you like morning Sultan better than evening Sultan? Like, you'll never see Angry George in the morning. Never see it. I wake up happy every day. And then as the day goes on, I get more pissed off. Is anyone else like that? All right, bro, you say you miss her? Let's be honest. You only miss the hardware. You don't miss the software or operating system. Let's get real. You miss, and I have to say this maybe once a year, sometimes twice a year. You don't miss her in the way that she treated you. You don't miss the fact that you were not a priority in her life. And this is not a men's victim channel. We aren't victims here, okay? We are, how can I put it? Remember I said this a couple months ago. We are pattern recognition experts, because patterns don't lie. You miss the picture, the snapshot, the Polaroid of her on you. You miss her breasts bouncing. You miss the shape of her butt from behind. You miss her coming out of the shower with a towel around her head and a towel around her. You know, I don't think women just like look at us get dressed. I've always enjoyed watching a woman get dressed, not necessarily get undressed. You know, a freshly showered girlfriend, wife, coming out of the shower, towel on her head, towel around her, and, you know, the towel comes off, and she brushes her hair, and I could just sit, I'll be reading a book, and I'm just kind of like, you know, just simple things like that. That's the kind of stuff you miss. If you're reading or doing something, she just comes up and, you know, and you feel her cool lips on the back of your neck as she says good morning and brings you your coffee. That's what you miss. You miss the feeling. You miss the sight. But you don't miss the operating system. You don't miss her thought patterns because they made you feel like shit. She didn't honor you. She didn't respect you. She didn't appreciate you. But you are just so visual that you miss the way she looks. You don't miss the way that she acts. You miss the way that she felt. She can be replaced. In the same way that I said yesterday that dicks are interchangeable, I don't want to say that a woman's body is interchangeable. I can't say that because every single woman I've been with, and you know, I'm speaking as a man who has regrets about that kind of stuff. I don't want to be like one of these manosphere guys that brags about body count and all that nonsense. I'm embarrassed about that nonsense. I really am. And like I had said, I go on the record as thinking that I should have been married at 20, 21 and had 10 children and 10 grandkids by now. It didn't happen that way. So I lived with disappointment in that. And I have to, you know, I'm not going to like talk myself out of not regretting that. Sometimes regrets are good. You know, as a guy gets older, I think I said this about 5 years ago, for those that have been with me for a while, that our face changes when we start talking about regrets. Nothing makes my face change faster than talking about my regrets. You don't miss her. You miss the hardware. You miss what you see. You miss what you felt. Her hips, her legs. You feel like nothing will ever be able to replace them. Things like the details, her hands, her feet, how she smelled, how her hair smelled. That's the stuff you miss. You do not miss how she treated you. You miss her lips on the back of your neck. You miss her just giving you a little slap on the butt. That you miss the touch. Can it be replaced? Well, some of you have tried that, where you jump into another relationship pretty quick. And it doesn't measure up, does it? It doesn't. It's like trying to replace Like when I quit drinking, I remember I went to like non-alcoholic beer. I went to like non-alcoholic, I shouldn't say I went to them, but I tried them. I went to a non-alcoholic cocktail, and it's like, hey, there's nothing like the real thing. Everything else is just an imitation. So if you jump in the sack or start kissing somebody else too fast, it's basically an imitation of the person that you miss. You're trying to replace them. You're trying to fill that gap. Let's keep it real. Someone has to tell the truth. It might as well be me. You say you miss her, be honest. You only miss the hardware. You don't miss the software and the operating system. And I said that to say this. You get more satisfaction if you date with a purpose. Be clear about what you're looking for. Be clear about what you're open to right from the start. Because if you do that, no one will be able to waste your time or resources. Are you looking for some action? Be clear about it. Are you looking for something more permanent? Are you open to marriage? Are you open to love? Be clear about it. No woman should ever be questioning what you want. If you're going to be guilty of something, be guilty of loving, cherishing, providing, and protecting. No one should question what you want because you are clear about it. People are not mind readers, although we like to think they are. You want a wife, sir? Be clear about it. What kind of wife? Be clear about it. And never let anyone shame you for desiring permanent love in your life. And don't prohibit other people from desiring love or shame them for desiring love in their life. Just because you don't have any doesn't mean that they can't have it. Do people fall into patterns? Yes. Yes. Do women fall into patterns? Yes, they do. Are all women like that? I got quiet there for a second, didn't I? I say some, not all. Let's continue part 2 here. Some of the rules that I talked about the other day. Remember, save TRT for yourself. Do it for yourself. Don't do it so you can hear another man say, sun's out, guns out. So many guys work out and get into shape just to get the praise of another man. I'll be honest with you. Like, I am fairly jacked for my age. Let's get real about that. For my age, I'm top 5%. I want to be top 3 and then top 1, and I'm really working hard on that physically and lab work wise. One of the problems that I have is that I had, it's no longer a problem because I'm working on it, and there's definitely a solution, is that, you guys know I was a type 2 diabetic. I mean, I was shooting insulin daily, and it was going to kill me. Taking high blood pressure medicine daily, taking metformin daily. They tried to put me on statins, the doctor did, and I just refused. And what keeps us from just quitting the medication? Fear. And as I've worked on it over the years, I've become more confident in my own ability to control what goes on in my body and control what my lab work is. True health and fitness is not just what you see in a mirror. Like, wow, look, boy, he's jacked. Look at the shoulders and arms on that guy. I have a decent build, but I will tell you, my lab work was shit, was horrible. The true health is in your lab work, not necessarily, or not just what you see in the mirror. Save your tadalafil for an enthusiastic woman. What do I mean by that? Seems like Viagra, tadalafil, like these kind of ED drugs are now like recreational drugs. And, whether or not you have sexual problems, men are popping this stuff like vitamins. Why not save it for your enthusiastic, permanent, long-term wife? The prettier the woman, the more bullshit you have to tolerate. Dump her immediately if she's moody. Let another man have that trouble. Don't inherit another man's problems. If she displays entitlement, move on. Women must earn fine dining. Fleming's Steakhouse is for the beloved wife or someone who will be a beloved wife. Everyone else is Waffle House. Maybe not literally Waffle House, but Waffle House-ish. If you are always the romantic one, move on. The 3 most important words that you can say to a woman are follow my lead. You can only say that if you are a reasonable, loving, nurturing guy with goals and you're on a mission to make a difference. Where are you leading her to? Is it just the bed? I guess it all depends on what your goals are, but you should be clear about your goals. If she seems unpleasable and unhappy with everything that you say and do,
I'm not happy,
then you must silently plan and swiftly execute your exit. No explanation needed. Why? Because she would not give you an explanation. Her enthusiasm, this is the most important thing I'm going to say today, her enthusiasm for you will be a bigger aphrodisiac than her outward appearance. Don't we all of us guys want a woman who's enthusiastic about us? If we have to kind of twist her arm or manipulate or push ourselves on a woman, is there really genuine desire? There is nothing like just you're going for a walk and she just stops and hugs you, stops and kisses you. If you are the one always doing all the hugging, kissing, and patting, there's something wrong. There's an imbalance in that relationship and how you relate to one another. It should be mutual. So an enthusiastic woman, a woman who's really excited about seeing you, is one of the biggest turn-ons. And I'm not just talking about sexual, I'm talking about mental and psychological. Always have every move documented and time-stamped with Google Maps. Read between the lines there. Encourage texting. Texting is a good record. I've said this before too, that the favorite guy that you love to hate, Rollo Tomasi, he's 100% correct in his 8 iron rules, especially the one about genuine burning desire. Her desire for you should be sufficient enough. You should never ask yourself the question, I wonder if she's into me. If she is, it's very clear. And I'm not just talking about girlfriends. I'm not talking about the single guys out here, you young studs. I'm talking about the married guys, man, the older bros, man. I truly think if there's an age gap of 10 years or more, that there's probably an expiration date on that relationship for the most part. Most, but not all. And it's always going to hit you harder. We want something younger and fresher. Doesn't matter what age you are. Most men want a younger woman. Like if you guys like younger women, you guys think with that head and not this head. If it's a long-term relationship, she is going to go from being a wife to a caretaker. That's the reality. And when that reality hits her, if you're together long enough, she might pack her shit and say, look, you might be a good-looking older man, no matter what your age. Okay, you might be a good-looking older man. You're going to be an okay-looking old man, if you're lucky. The issue of age gap. A younger woman, there's a reason why we like younger women. Much of it has to do with ego. Much of it has to do with, like for instance, some guys do it because they can. Many times younger women are attracted to me because I can. Because I don't come across as an old man. I've got the physique of a younger man. Well, I'm still in my 65th year from here up, but from here down, that's a different story. But the reality is this. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. What is too young for you and what is too old for you? If you're starting over or you've never been married, answer that question. Don't be caught off guard. Once your emotions start getting involved, once you start, sex clouds everything. Your clarity disappears as soon as you have sexual relations with a woman. Your ability to think clearly is gone. Absolutely gone. As soon as you are sexually active with somebody. Women desire love. Men desire respect and appreciation. I would start evaluating her appreciation for you from the first hour. If there's no gratitude, if there's no appreciation and respect, it's not something that's going to build. It's something that she will display and exhibit right from the get. It's one of those things, you know, when I've talked to some of my female friendly acquaintances that are like doing online dating and this type of thing, they say that they know within the first minute or two, like literally they know like right away if they're going to have a relationship with the guy. They know right away if they're going to kiss the guy. They know right away if they're going to have sex with that guy. Men, we are, we always want to have sex. I think a guy who's reasonable, ethical, and moral will just kind of have a mixture of risk and like risking affection. Can you imagine you have to risk affection? It's not a trippy, just thinking about that. You got to, like, should I kiss her or not? Is it too soon? You know. And I think people are harder to read these days. I really think so. And the risks are greater. Like if you make the move, so to speak, you know, to kiss a woman and she turns away and gives you, you know. And I'm not saying this all needs to happen on a first date, but physical affection is a great indicator. Remember what I said, don't believe what someone says, believe what they do. And I think physical affection is a great indicator of how much someone is into you. Don't waste time on people who you can't read. Disrespect from her gets one strike. If it happens a second time, you need to move on. And if you're comfortable enough, I don't want to say if you're man enough, you don't need to set someone straight. Just, you have to be clear. This is about transparency. You have to be clear. If you're the kind of guy that, like, can explain things properly, you know, he said, hey, you know what, that was really disrespectful. You probably didn't mean it. Like, give her the benefit of the doubt. And I would say even with just like guy friends as well, you know, if they're disrespectful to you, I would say give people the benefit of the doubt. If it happens a second time, just move on. But if it's very blatant the first time around and you don't get an apology or a course correction or some kind of change in behavior, don't be a glutton for punishment, man. Just move on. And just keep in mind, remember what I started saying. You don't miss her. You miss her body. You miss the hardware, not the software or operating system. You never have to explain yourself for not tolerating disrespect, but you always have to cover your ass. Always. CYA. Cover your ass. Christian women, some of the most troubled, worst offenders I've ever seen, hiding behind God, looking for a God-fearing man. I'm a God-fearing woman. All right. You know, if you're doing online dating, you see what she says, I'm a God-fearing woman. I go to church every Sunday, and she's got that crucifix right, you know, right above or in between her boobs and her cleavage. There's a little incongruence there, you know. So be careful of people. Be careful of women that lead with, I'm a Christian. 9.9 times out of 10, that means nothing. If she doesn't appreciate her family, she won't appreciate your family. If she has a problem with her father, she's going to have a problem with you. Never, ever have to choose between her and your family, ever. Even if your family's a bunch of dingbats, still, it's your family. Fancy dinners, chivalry, vacations, and gifts will not soften a woman up if she's not truly desiring you. Keep that in mind. You can't buy love. How she responds to you and how she treats you is more telling than what she says. And then I can't stress this enough. CYA. I still think the funniest thing that I've heard all week is this. Your ex has dropped more boxers than Mike Tyson. Make that phrase great again. I think that's hilarious. This never gets old and it bears repeating. Men's lives matter. White, black, young, old. short, tall, thin, fat, single, married, divorced, fathers, childless men, incarcerated men, free men, American, Russian, Indian, Canadian, British, Aussie, Mexican, South American, Polish, Italian, Muslim, Palestinian, Israeli, Ukrainian. All men's lives matter, and I truly believe that. For those of you that want to get into public speaking, professional speaking, some people have reached out to me and said, how do I get into public speaking? That's a pretty common theme because I've been doing it for over 40 years and I've become quite good at it. Some of you have seen some of my stage work and some of my podcasts where I'm interviewing people. There's so many great conferences in a year. Make it a plan of yours to go to like 2 or 3 conferences a year. Save up for them. It's a great hobby. I like to go to one men's conference a year or men's retreat. Something that is just for men, but not like one of these not one of these soft men's conferences where you're sitting there crying and holding each other and having a hug fest. That's a little too, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about stuff that is about being a better man, physically, biohacking, making more money, that kind of stuff. So I like to go to one men's conference a year. I like to go to one marketing or business conference a year to learn new skills. And I like to do one spiritual conference, whether it be a spiritual retreat. Like I'm thinking about Montanica this year, thinking about going, and that's not a men's conference. But if you're interested in speaking at a conference, take it from a guy who's experienced. I've shared stages, real and virtual, with some top names. I shared a stage with John Gray, guy who wrote the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I shared a virtual stage with Anthony Robbins. Shared a virtual stage with huge names like that, big names. And your reputation is important. Show me who you associate with, and I'll show you who you are. But if you're interested in speaking at a conference, send a message to the organizer. Send any sample content links, short and sweet, because people don't have time to sit there and go through all kinds of material. Explicitly describe how the event attendees will benefit. Your resume is not necessary. Maybe a very, very short bio. I'm talking just a few sentences, and a headshot or a picture will do. One of the ways that I started getting into speaking publicly was to offer myself as a substitute speaker. You might send an organizer, conference organizer, just an email saying, look, I know you have a great conference coming up, but I'd like to offer myself as a substitute speaker. Use these words. Sometimes things happen and people cancel and they can't make it, but I just want to let you know that I would be available to speak. Here's the topics that I can speak on. This is how the attendees will benefit from what I'm speaking on. And I can do it in as little time as 24 hours. You know, someone might have one of their conference speakers cancel out or get sick, or kid has an accident, or the wife had a baby or something like that, whatever. And the last thing they want is a hole, a gap in that schedule. So what you're actually doing is providing a solution for that organizer. The last thing they want to do is run around at the last minute. Your name should be on the tip of their tongue. But that will only come from you making the effort, because you will be perceived as a problem solver. I will tell you that 80%, it's a lot, it's overwhelming, of the people that I've contacted in that way, I have spoken at those conferences, and they never would have reached out to me any other way. Be a solution provider. If you want to do that, like if you want to book a session with me, I can help you with that. It's not free, but I will tell you, I can help you advance your career, and you can do it greatly through public speaking, professional speaking. Don't expect to be paid. Solve a problem. Your pay is going to come through them promoting you and having shorts and clips and reels and having your stuff. Most conferences will have videos of the speeches and the interviews and things like that. Your reputation will grow if you do that. So think about that. It's a great way to break into that whole world. Marketing is what you pay for. Publicity is what you pray for. I contend that people like Andrew Tate has had hundreds of millions of dollars in free publicity. I'm not being judgmental. Some people will be judgmental of him. I'm going to withhold judgment because I've benefited from some of the things that he says. Do I like everything he says? Of course not. Of course not. As the Madison Avenue advertising and marketing kings used to say, good news, bad news, it doesn't matter. Just spell my name right. Now, what works for Tate will not work for you. Keep that in mind. This bears repeating. Marketing is what you pay for. Publicity is what you pray for. You want that publicity. Here's this dude in bed sleeping with Bonnie, whatever her name, one of those like people on X right now that's like sleeping with hundreds of men or something like that. She's now going for the record of wants to get boned by 2,000 men in one day. And here's a guy, her boyfriend, sitting there with a ring box with a diamond ring in it. She's sleeping next to him, and he's smiling. And my comment is, don't be this guy. Don't pay full MSRP for something that she used to give away for free. That would really suck. Based Blondex. I have no idea who that is. If it's a guy or a woman. There's a picture of a woman on X. She says, aren't men embarrassed knowing that so many other guys have slept with their girl? Men are concerned about where women have been. Women are concerned about where men will go, where they will be in the future. You are more concerned about her past. I think by nature that's how we are. She is more concerned about your future. And because of the solipsistic nature of women, that really means her future with you. I took a poll and I asked, what is your preferred knife blade deployment mechanism? 15.4% said a flip tab, 30.8% said a thumb stud, 30.8% said the Spyderco type hole where you flip it open with your thumb, and 23.1% said an automatic knife or a switchblade. I like my Spyderco, and I also like my good old-fashioned buck knife, pocket knife. Here's a question I have for you. Do you think you can get me to 1 million followers on YouTube? I'll give you 25 cents for every dollar that you bring me. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good commission rate, 25%. Would you like to be my social media manager and publicist? Hit me with your best pitch. Send me a message. Let me know what you can do. Identify the error in this 1978 song by Little River Band. We all love Little River Band, right? And these are the harmless pop song lyrics that young men like me consumed their entire life growing up. Decades of programming through thousands of songs, which are just simplified. Think about the songs that you love. Rock, pop, and soft rock was so weak, so subversive, such a psyop, and guess what? It worked. Remember the song by Little River Band. Friday night it was late. I was walking you home. We got down to the gate, and I was dreaming of the night. Would it turn out right? How to tell you, girl. This is the line right here. I want to build my world around you. Tell you that it's true. I want to make you understand. I'm talking about a lifetime plan. A lifetime plan of what? Building my world around you. That's rough. When you've been listening to music like that for years, you start thinking like that. Let's talk about simping now that we're on that topic. A cure for simping is self-respect, purpose, and having an abundance mentality. Here's pretty much a breakdown. Self-respect. When you value yourself, you won't put someone on a pedestal at your expense. Recognize your worth and stop seeking validation from women. Just stop it. Purpose and mission. A man with a strong mission in life doesn't have time to grovel for attention. Focus on your career, your fitness, your skills, your passion. Women are attracted to men who are driven. And because this channel, the movement that I've created, is not about women, it's about men, it's about you. People in general are attracted to men who are driven. Abundance mentality. There are billions of women in this world. Stop obsessing over the one who is not reciprocating your energy. When you realize that you have options, you won't tolerate disrespect or chase unworthy women. Emotional discipline. Simping is an emotional weakness, think about this, disguised as romance. Learn to control your emotions, set boundaries, and walk away when needed. Male mentorship. Surround yourself with strong masculine men who hold you accountable. If you are lost in simping, get guidance from those who have mastered self-respect and relationships. Stop consuming simp culture. Quit following people, movies, and music that glorify weak, desperate behavior. Replace them with content that promotes masculinity and self-improvement. Raise your standards. Don't settle for being an orbiting fanboy. Never let a woman get away with calling you friend. You don't have to school her, set her straight. You just have to go in the other direction. Don't be an orbiting fanboy. Women respect men who lead, not those who beg for attention. As AMS, Alpha Male Strategies, says, be a man on your purpose. You don't need to simp. A strong man, or a increasingly strong man, naturally attracts what he wants. What is simping behavior? Simping, being a simp, that's a slang term for a man who is submissive and desperate for female validation, or excessively attentive to women, often to his own detriment, and without receiving the same level of interest in return. Simping behavior is generally seen as self-sacrificing, weak, and lacking self-respect. Now here's some simping behaviors. Prioritizing a woman over yourself, constantly putting her needs, wants, and desires ahead of your own, even when it negatively affects him. This goes for married men, too. Married men can simp. Seeking validation, fishing for approval from women and feeling incomplete without their attention. Overgiving with no reciprocation. Who else is guilty of that? Showering a woman with gifts, trips, favors, money, even if she shows little or no interest. Defending bad behavior, making excuses for toxic, manipulative, or disrespectful behavior from a woman just so you can stay in her good graces. Agreeing with everything she says, lacking your own opinions and viewpoints just to avoid conflict or disagreement. Being overly available, dropping everything and responding to her messages, always being on standby, never making her chase or invest. Placing women on a pedestal, idealizing a woman to an unrealistic degree, seeing her as flawless, or acting as if she is above him. We love soft and curvy and feminine, don't we? We love this, don't we? We love that. Getting friend-zoned, but still sticking around, hoping that by being nice and always being there, that she's eventually going to develop romantic feelings for you. I joke around and say, why is your woman, why does she always seem pissed off? You ever wonder that? You know why? Because you are her second choice. Allowing disrespect, tolerating rude, dismissive, or humiliating behavior just to stay in her orbit. That's one of the worst. Lack of boundaries, allowing himself to be walked on or manipulated in hopes of securing attention or affection. Simping ultimately stems from a lack of self-confidence and a scarcity mindset regarding women and an overvaluation of female attention. A man who respects himself, sets boundaries, prioritizes his own goals, and seeks mutually respectful relationships rather than chasing after one-sided affection. Some guys will say, well, remember, you are the prize. I get that. I understand that. But I will say that that's kind of a cope, if you think about it, right? What if both of you are the prize? And finally, I figured out the answer to women's age-old question. Where are all the good men? You see women saying that. My answer is right where you left them, honey, in the friend zone. And with that, finish your coffee, and I'll see you on the next Daybreak Show, the only home of sanity, clarity, and reason.